Hello and welcome to Business Owners Unite, the podcast where we explore the challenges, successes, and lessons learned from those who have navigated the exciting yet complex world of business ownership. Whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned entrepreneur, this podcast is for you to help, inspire, and guide you on your business journey. So let's get started and unite the world of business owners, one story at a time.
Welcome everyone to the Business Owners Unite podcast. I'm Kyle, and in today's episode, I have a fantastic interview with Kevin Hargraves. Kevin is a business coach and has over 40 years business experience where he used to find undervalued businesses, buy them, and sell them at a profit. Kevin is an expert at understanding businesses' bottom line, looking at what are the operational weak points and making sure that they are being improved for optimized results. With all this wealth of information, Kevin shares with us what are the common pain points that he finds in not only businesses that he has purchased and run, but also with his clients. Kevin has been helping other business owners with all of the wealth of information, knowledge, and systems that he has shared with them to make them more successful business owners. I, for one, learned a whole lot in this episode, and I'm really excited for you guys to listen in as well. So without further ado, let's dive in. Thank you so much, Kevin, for joining us on the Business Owners Unite podcast. I'm really excited to chat today as you and I have been working together for a wee while, and I know that you've got a wealth of knowledge that you can share. I'm feeling I'm going to probably learn a lot. For those who don't know who Kevin Hargraves is, I thought we could start with just a quick introduction, who you are, what you do, and I guess how you got into it all.
Okay, so my name's Kevin Hargraves, and I'm the business growth expert at Best Business Coach. So we help serious business owners grow their business exponentially, and we use a number of strategies that work pretty much in every business that will usually 2, 3, or 4 times your business. So it's something I've been doing for a long time. For more than 40 years, I used to buy struggling businesses, build them up really quick, and sell them from anywhere from 2 to 5 times what I paid.
Wow.
So that's what I do.
That's really cool. I think I've always thought that business is essentially playing by the same rule. If you can get really good structures and formulas and processes to follow, you can do well,
Yes.
but it sounds simple, but it's just like getting healthier. It's like, sounds simple, eating well and working out, but not everybody does it. That's the problem.
What happens is business owners are good at what they do, whether they're a plumber or a chiropractor or whatever they are. They're good at what they do, but no one ever taught them how to run a business. And there's so much in it, lots of things you can implement that they don't even think about. So
Absolutely.
that's where it's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that working with a lot of clients myself in my business, I find that most people get into running a business because they are really good at the operations side. Let's say they're a great coach, or they're a great psychologist, or they're an HR expert, whatever it is. They're really good at that. And they go, oh, people pay me to do this. I'll just jump into it myself. And then all of a sudden there's the sales and marketing, there's the legal, there's the finance, that you have to do all these different things. And that's where it often falls apart, is that you might be good at the operations, but you might not be great at all the other things that come along with it.
Normally, you just can't be good at everything.
Yeah.
No one
Yeah.
is. No one's good at everything. So,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
certainly can't be a chiropractor or a plumber or anything like that, but I do know how to run a business, and I know the things you need to have in place to make it work.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously having that level of experience and doing it for 40 years, what did you find was the principles that made people succeed versus things that didn't? Like, was there any things that you saw repeatedly that you were like, this is something that's going to cause problems?
There's a lot of things I see. I'll just go through a couple. One is,
Sure.
I call it market dominating position. They should be able to find a way, or that's what I help them with, find a way to set their business apart from their competitor. Every business owner that you see marketing, and you'd see this, all like their competitor. They don't have a point of difference. And when you've got a point of difference, it just makes you the expert. It makes you the one they want to go to. You don't have to sell them. They're actually there ready to go. That's a really big one, and I could give you a couple of examples. So then the other one is pricing. Most business owners sell what they do too cheap because they don't allow for all the marketing costs, the rent, the whatever it happens to be. They don't allow for it. You got to charge a certain amount of profit margin, gross profit. Lots of business don't have it, and that's why they get into trouble. Like, I recently worked with a plumber. They were busy, but they were losing money, and they couldn't work it out. Well, they were just undercharging. I helped them put their price up 40%. Just made a huge difference to that business. I never lost a job.
Wow.
They
That's
went from
crazy.
struggling to now they've got a new home, they're living a happy life. It just changed their whole life.
That's awesome. So essentially having a point of difference, so establishing a good, if you want to call it brand, a point of differentiation, and making sure you're charging the right amount, like you're not undercharging.
Yeah, they're
That's
two really good
yeah.
ones. And the other one, cost. Businesses start to struggle a bit. They cut the costs that are important. I'll bet you if I
Mm,
went through their bank statement and their credit card statement, the basic rule is if it doesn't find you a new customer or look after the one you got, dump it. But if it does those
yeah.
two things, you're crazy to get rid of it. But they do. They dump stuff because they just want to cut, cut, cut. And that
Yeah.
cutting is good, but you got to cut the right stuff, you know?
Yeah, very true. I think those are really good tips. And I guess you having purchased your own businesses, what do you kind of look for in a business when you're trying to purchase a business that you think you could buy and flip? Is it there's certain
Well,
kind of things
sometimes
that
I'd look for something that I could see was something that people wanted, right? You got to have a
yeah,
business that people want what you sell first, right? That's number
yeah,
one. Then I'd look at their profit margin. I'd usually find they were too low, so there was an opportunity. I'd look at their costs and expenses, and you usually find a lot of stuff in there that was rubbish. Sometimes people were paying crazy prices for bank fees and they were doing little to no marketing. You can have the best
yeah.
business in the world, and if you don't market it, no one's going to know about it. It's that simple.
That's
So that's the sort of three areas I looked at first. Most
yeah.
business owners don't even understand how to read their profit and loss. That's important.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's a level of financial literacy that you need to have. You need to know how to balance the books. You need to know how to
Yeah.
look at like where you're making your money, what's actually
Yeah.
driving the profits into your business. And we did this in 2020 and I realized that like Google ad services, for me, it's a great service because even if you take on a client and you're at I don't know, like a break even cost for the first month, you know that they're going to stick with you for a long time if you're good and you're able to drive results. That's one for me that I
Exactly.
was like, oh, this is the thing that I should be focusing on. And websites, oh my God, I always undercharge whenever I quote for a website. I still do it to this day. So I'm just like, don't do websites, Kyle.
I
You
know.
always underdo it. And yeah, I'd rather focus on things that I know I'm going to make money.
That's right. And that's important too. If you got something that you sell but you don't make any money out of it, just dump it because it's just stress you don't need. You best to do what you do good and what makes you good money. That's what a business is about. The definition of a great business is an enterprise that makes great profits while you don't have to be there.
Yeah. That's the living the dream, I think, is what we might call it.
Well, that's what a business is about. One stage I used to run 5 businesses in 5 different cities, and they're all going fantastic.
Wow.
It's
Yeah.
not
That
too
would be,
bad.
honestly, I think that it's crazy how people think it's just not possible, but then there's people who have done it. There's people who are doing it. So if they're
Right.
doing it, why,
It's not
why
that hard
can't
to
you?
do. It's
Yeah.
not that hard to do. You just got to commit to do it and move forward because every day you procrastinate, you're a day behind.
Okay. So if you were a business owner who is listening to this right now and you're thinking, man, this sounds great. I've got a business, but they're trapped in it. They're an operator. They're working their butts off and they want to get to a point where they're running the business, but they're not working in the business. What would be the path that you would recommend them take? I know you've got a lot of good content, so I thought this might be a good conversation.
Well, what they need is they need someone to guide them, because if they don't have someone to guide them where to go and what to do, they usually don't do it because no one's
Mm.
there to keep them accountable. They want to do it, but they get busy and they don't do it. You've got to break the pattern. Einstein said, the definition of a lunatic is someone that keeps doing the same thing over and over again, expects a different result.
So
So
true.
true. If you want to change,
Yeah.
you've got to change.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think you don't go to the gym when you have no idea what you're doing to get stronger. You hire somebody, right? You hire a coach or a personal trainer because
Exactly.
they know how to get the results.
Yep.
And you don't. Trying to do it yourself, sure, you might be able to fluke it and figure it out, but it's going to be a road of hard knocks. You're probably going to take so many wrong turns along the way. You're better off going to an expert and being like, look, here's what I want. Can you help me get there? And they'll be the ones who can help
That's
you make
right.
a plan. Yeah.
No different to marketing, Kyle. People try and do their own marketing, but you know what? If they go to someone who knows how to do marketing and tell them what they want to get, they're going to get a lot better result. Sure, it costs them money, but if they don't spend the money and invest in themselves or in their business, it's not going to grow to where they want it. It's just a
So
fact.
true. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's great. Yeah, I think it sounds simple, but it's not.
Yeah, I always say it's simple, but it's not easy.
Exactly. Yeah. I know there's a Thomas Edison quote that he says, genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. And I think that's so true.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, awesome, Kevin. This has been really great. So I want to know a little bit more about your business in particular, because you've got a lot of great services. I thought that it might be good to talk about, with your customers, what types of problems do you help them solve in particular? We talked about a lot of like different roadmaps and frameworks and things that you can help them along the way, but what is it that you do when you're starting out with somebody through to getting them to, I don't know, like that living the dream type of approach of running a business?
I usually like to do a full business assessment on their business and then give them a roadmap where they can go for the next 12 months. Because if you don't know where you're going to go, it's hard to go there. But if you've got a roadmap to go, and then when I work with them, like at the moment, I'm doing a group coaching. So it's on a call a bit like this, but we can have up to 10 on a call. It works really good because people brainstorm each other's business. They get to network as well. I usually run through a strategy, run about an hour and a half. We stop for questions and answers and stuff. And then, so they gets a lot of power from that. Like I recently did the group coaching call last year, and I had these people on from Gold Coast. It wasn't that then; it was Skip Bins. They bought a franchise, they had it for a year. They lost $40,000. So I worked with them on that group coaching. We got rid of the franchise, and they called it Go Bins Gold Coast. They went from 220,000 turnover to 1.1 million. They're
Wow.
now probably at about 1.5 because they just keep using the same stuff because the
Mm.
same stuff works.
Yep.
So that's a pretty good program I do, and they also get access to my Business Coaching Academy, which has over 250 training videos and workbooks on it. They get access to my marketing and advertising library, which has got marketing and advertising for 120, I think, different businesses. They get access
Far
to
out.
my elevator pitch library. So important to people, you say, what do you do? And they'll say, oh, I'm a plumber. That's only what you are, it's not what you do. So
Mm.
they need to know that. So in there's a whole heap of different elevator pitch examples for all different types of businesses. Plus, there's a video on how to create your own elevator pitch and what it needs to say. They get all of that. They get constant email access to me, and they get to join our Facebook group, which they can ask questions, etc., all on there, and other people will answer them and whatever. So that's a pretty good little program we do for people. If they don't have a lot of money to get going, but they want to get good results, that usually
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's so many businesses that are like primed to do well, but they're just doing the wrong things. And we've probably, you've seen it many more times than me, but I've definitely seen it across my path many times. And it's just in getting the right things into place. And it's crazy how quick businesses can grow. Yeah, just going from
Crazy
200K
how
to
quick they can
1.2
grow.
million. That blows my
Yeah,
mind. And
1.1. I think they're about 1.5, and they've just had some people looking to buy them out. So
wow. Yeah,
interesting.
that's
Mm.
fantastic. I think for anybody who's listening and you're just getting started out, there is a bit of getting to the point where your business is thriving and you're the person probably being the one who's doing a lot of the work. But once you get past that point, you're
Yep,
looking to hire people. It really does become about
that's right.
process driven approach to your business and then getting those right people in. And I think that's something that Kevin seems to definitely, I'm not going to profess to be an expert at all. Kevin's the guy to turn to. I think that the group coaching sounds really good, Kevin. Is that open to anyone? Is it people in the local area? Like
So
how do
yeah, we take on pretty much anybody as long as they're what I call serious.
Yeah.
There's no good coming on there if you're not prepared to take action because it won't work. But if you're prepared
Yeah,
to take action, what I go through with you, you will get results.
absolutely.
Some people are scared to hire staff, but let me tell you, if you want to scale your business, you got to have people because people
Yeah.
systems design your business, but people run your business. And that's what you
Yes.
need.
Yeah, absolutely. I've talked to other consultants as well who say there's kind of like three levels of growth to a business. First, it's you doing all the work yourself, and you're going to hit a glass ceiling. Like you can't get past that point when you're selling your time. You can only sell, 40 hours a week. Some people can sell more, sure, but that's the limit. And then from there, it's like having the right processes and the right systems to run the business. And then from there, it's getting the right people. And each of those steps, you can plateau a bit and find you stall in one area. I've got a great team in my business. And I just think about if I was to not have people, the amount of work that I do would probably go up 10x. It's just crazy how much delegation saves you
That's right.
time, stress, and makes the business work. Yeah, that's really cool.
Some
From my,
businesses think that no one else can do what they do, but
yeah,
providing they devise some systems and strategies to do it, people can. In fact, sometimes you'll find people who do it better than you. You
mm,
mightn't like to admit it, but you find people out there that actually can do things better than you, and it
Yeah.
actually helps your business grow even more,
Yeah.
and that's just a
Nice.
fact.
So, in terms of hiring people, I imagine you have systems for everything, but how do you find that right person? Is there any ways that you could suggest or recommend to find people who are
Well,
star
you
performers?
got to use first of all, you got to market to find someone. Usually, I'm not a
Mm,
big fan of poaching people because usually
mm,
when they jump fence, the grass is never as green on the other side, and sometimes they don't stay.
yeah.
But if you do some proper marketing to get someone, I think you will find, and then you do a proper interview process and tell them what you expect from them right up front.
Mm,
Because if they don't know what to expect, and then you need to train them in your ways because you can't just put some on and go, there you go, do it, and expect them to do it how you want it done because it won't happen. And then you'll get cranky with them, and then that doesn't work, and then they leave. So you got to give them systems. You got to show them the path you want to go in your vision and get them on your
mm,
vision because when you do, they become loyal and much more
yeah.
consistent, and they produce much better.
Nice. So it's a bit of leadership and having a clear vision and a mission for your business that people subscribe to, making sure that they're trained up in the systems that you have created, kind of pointing them in the right direction.
That's right.
That's great.
Like
Yeah.
I always often say to people, I said, you have a goal where you want to go in the next 3 years. And they said, oh, well, they and are and stuff. Let's think about it this way. If you were going to travel to Europe for a month's holiday, would you have
Mm,
everything planned? Would you know where you were going to go, what flight you were on, what time you had to be at the airport, where you were going to go when you got there, what was on your list to do? Oh, yeah, of course. I said, your business is actually much more important. So you need to
mm,
have some goals, preferably 1, 3, and 5 years, and then have some strategies underneath that on how you're going to get there, because that's the important thing. If you don't have a way to get there, and that's where they struggle. So people think, oh, yeah, I want to have a $1 million business, but they don't have any strategies on how they're going to get there because they don't know what they are. But if you
yeah.
know what the strategies are, you know how to implement it, you can get there easy.
Yeah. That's such a great analogy, Kevin. I love that. Like, if you're going on a holiday, you plan it out to the nth degree. Why the hell would you not plan out
That's
your
right.
business, which is the most important asset that you've invested in? It's crazy. Yeah.
A business is actually the best investment there is. It's better than real estate. It's better than the stock market. It'll give you better returns if you look after it. It will be your best investment in your life, and it gives you cash
Absolutely.
flow. And cash flow is
Yeah,
king.
absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it's so cool to talk to somebody who's been there, done that, and has actually put in the work in buying businesses
Yeah,
and
yeah,
building
yeah.
them up. I think that's one thing for me as I'm going to say, a young buck. Kind of look, your journey. It's very inspiring for people like me who are in their own business, have been for a while, and going, you know what? It is a matter of doing the hard work and putting in the right processes, finding the right people. And I think that running a business is one of the most rewarding things you can do in life because it teaches you so many skills that you need. It's like interpersonal, it's cash flow management, finance, project management, everything across the board. But so many people just don't spend the time in educating themselves and learning these things because it's too hard or that's not my job. I'll just get somebody else to do it. And when you take on that responsibility, I think of being like, no, the buck stops at me. I need to learn this. Man, it can unlock so many doors for you, And yeah, running a business can be super rewarding. It's a pain in the ass, but it can be super rewarding. So I definitely agree with you on that.
That's life. You never get anything not if everything was easy to do, everybody be doing it, right? So
That's
you
true.
gotta
Yeah.
have a little bit of pain on the way, And it
Yes.
can be physical, mental, or financial, but you gotta have a bit of pain on the way.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think if you look at the most successful people in this world, I would say 90% plus of them would be business owners, entrepreneurs, people who took a risk and none of their stories were easy. It's not like anybody didn't have a story where they went bankrupt or they lost everything or they have these like tales of tribulations that you're like far out. That sounds
Yeah, that's right.
incredibly hard. But then they're now some of the most successful people in the world. And you have to go through that pain. You have to go through that journey, I think. And that's part of the entrepreneurial or being a business owner, which brings us all together in a weird way
Yep.
because we share that same pain.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so business owners nearly all need a hand or guidance to get on the right path and get the right things in place because most of them don't differentiate themselves at all. They're
Yeah.
just like I've even spoke to a business owner. I said, "Well, let's have a look at your website," and they go, "Yep." I said, "What is your competitor?" They said, "This one." I said, "Let's have a look." So tell me, if you took your name off here and put it on there, and their name off there, put it on there, what'd be the difference? I said, "Oh, yeah, not much." Why would anyone buy from you and not them? the end of the day, it's about point of difference. And every
Yeah.
business owner has a point of difference. They just don't realize it. I
Mm.
worked with an auto workshop just last year it was, and I said, "Now let's have a look at your point of difference. What is it?" He said, "Kevin," he said, "I've been here 20 years." I said, "It doesn't matter. People don't care." He said, "We give really great service." I said, "I hope so." He said, And we do great work." I said, "I hope so." So after delving into him, what I found was that he gave every customer who had a service or a repair done a 24/7 roadside assist for a year, right? That was probably worth
Oh,
about
wow.
$100 or something, but it's worth a lot more than $100 if something happens, you get a flat tire, you break down or something. I said, "Well, when do you give that to them?" He said, "Oh, when they pay the invoice." I said, "Don't you
Mm.
think that would be a great marketing tool to get people in and say, our work is so good, we'll even give you a 24/7 roadside assist to make sure that you don't have a problem." Something
Yeah.
like that. So, yeah, interesting.
That's awesome. Yeah, I guess finding your point of difference is one of those things where you don't really think about often because a lot of businesses don't even think about the customer centric approach of, how does my customer perceive my business? They're so focused on here's the service I do, here's how I do it. And, it's not really coming from the customer's perspective, which I guess is,
Know what the customers You need to know the customer's pain point. What's his problem? That's what you got to target. And then what's your solution to his problem? And immediately you have him.
I agree. Well, Kevin, this has been great. I feel like we could talk for hours, to be honest. But I think we're going to wrap up there. I really appreciate you coming
Okay.
on to the Business Owners Unite podcast and going through this with me. Before we wrap up, I want to go through a little rapid fire questions, if that's all right, just to get a few bit more pieces of information from you before we wrap. Is that all right?
Yeah, cool.
Awesome. Let's do it. So the first question that I had in our rapid fire questions is, what's your best practice or ritual to look after yourself as a business owner?
Well, as a business owner, first of all, you got to keep reasonably fit and healthy so you think clear because clarity in your mind will take you where you want to go. If you get some clarity, you know what I mean? It's no good being hung over every day, think you can run a good business because it won't happen. You'll just get in the rut of doing it, right? That's it.
Very true. And what would you say is your best productivity hack? How do you kind of get shit done, so to speak?
You need a good team. As I said before, you need a good team and they need to be trained on what you want done. Give them a deadline. Give them they need to know exactly what to do. They need a process because if they've got a process, it just happens. If they're mucking around deciding what they're going to do or how they're going to get it done, time just walks out the door. Time waits for no one.
That's a great one, actually. Absolutely agree with that one. The next question I'd have for you is, what is your favorite business app or program that you everyone should be using?
Oh, that's a tough one. I don't use a real lot of business app. It depends on the business. Like when we worked with the skip bin company, we got this app and I can't remember what it's called. I found it for them. It takes pictures of where they dropped their bins because they were losing bins. People were moving them. They go to pick them up. They couldn't find them. I took a picture, logged it into their system so they knew exactly where it was. They knew
Yeah.
when they went to pick it up, exactly where they had to pick it up. So that was a great app. So I think apps suit different businesses. I don't think
Yeah.
there's one that's my
Yeah.
opinion, but
No, you're right. Yeah, absolutely. I know for me, I know ChatGPT has been a game changer for me and my business, but it's one of those things, isn't it? It's like there's so many apps out there. How do you narrow it down? And it really depends on the business as
that's
well.
right. If I'm paying you to market for me, I don't need chat GDP because you're going to use it for me. You see what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Yeah. Exactly. And I think everyone's scared that AI is going to replace jobs to a certain extent. I totally understand where that's coming from, but there's always going to need to be somebody driving that, right? There's going to be somebody there who is asking the right questions, curating that content,
Exactly.
editing, making sure that it suits the need. So definitely there's always going to be a human involved in that process, I reckon.
And when you
Awesome.
get what it gives you back, sometimes you still need to edit it anyway because it doesn't quite always hit the nail on the head. But it gives you
100.
a lot of good content that you can use.
Yeah, absolutely. Kevin, thank you so much again for joining us on the Business Owners Unite podcast. Before we wrap up, though, I just wanted to see, is there anywhere that people can go or any special offers that you'd like to share with our listeners?
We've got that group coaching happening. That'll be starting in about 4 weeks. I've got a whole new one going. So they could just email me at info@kevinhargraves.com.au. And yeah, just email me there. Happy to send them out some info on it. And then they can decide if it's what they want to do, you know.
Perfect.
But it's a
Awesome.
great program.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued on it. I'm going to check it out after this as well. I think it's a fantastic offer.
Okay,
Oh,
it's
good.
not up on my website yet, but
So
I've
VIP
just put it
only, yeah?
together again. I've just retweaked it from last year. I've just thrown in a few more bonuses and stuff to make it a little bit more inviting. And yeah,
Very nice. Yeah, that sounds like a great offer. So thanks for sharing that with our listeners.
no problem. All good.
That's it for our show today. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. And a big thank you to Kevin Hargraves again for coming on to the show. If you did like what he was talking about, which I'm hoping you did, you can always go and support him by checking out some of his great coaching material, his programs, and if you want to work with him directly, you can always do so. Go to kevinhargraves.com.au to check out more of his information. And as always, subscribe to our show to stay up to date with more interviews like this. That's it for now, guys. Wishing you all the best in your business, and stay tuned for the next episode.
And that brings us to the end of another episode of Business Owners Unite. Thank you for spending this time with us and being a part of our growing community of entrepreneurs. If you liked what you heard, please show your support by subscribing and leaving a review on your platform of choice. Your feedback helps us grow and continue to bring you valuable content. Remember, your business journey is unique, and we're here to support you every step of the way. Stay tuned for more inspiring stories in our upcoming episodes.